constantly being pushed to do everything 1 second quicker than yesterday, or multitask one more item on top of yesterday's load. Convenience items meant for a last resort have become an automated way of life. There's a saying that was used to explain the futile attempt to bring an old airplane back to an appearance of respectability. You can't polish a turd. In modern times, someone seems to have found a way to do that, at least in presentation. Putting an item in a snazzy-looking wrapper automatically raises its value to something to be desired over more humbly represented items of the same caliber. One of every $11 consumers spend goes to pay for packaging, and that's just for the initial product, not counting having to pay to dispose of the package later. One company, when asked why they packaged bottles of shampoo in individual display boxes with plastic windows, replied that surveys had shown consumers looked on the extensive package as a sign of quality. The invention of the package came to us with the best of intentions. Developing countries may waste up to 50% of food due to inadequate or non-packaging, compared with 2 to 3% in Western Europe, and a lot of money is brought in from it. A simple bag hanging next to the produce and bulk bins doesn't offer much work for package design engineers, and its plain surface offers little opportunity for graphic designers. Packaging machine operators, quality controllers, drivers that work in that extra layer of transport to and from the packaging plant, the chunk of any industry that works to supply raw materials for the packaging. All of these, and probably another ton that I'm not accounting for here, would be made obsolete if we were to stop our widespread use of intriguing boxes and bags. Of course, all that progress needs to be paid for somehow. Ultimately, the consumer pays twice for every bit of packaging that is plucked from store shelves, once to pay for the package's production, and again for its disposal. A government-funded survey showed that while people generally expect things to be recycled, they are rarely willing to pay a few cents more to buy products made from recycled material. Another one found that even eco-aware shoppers, those who selected grocery stores by reusable bagging options, showed surprisingly little interest in sacrificing packaging for saving environmental impact. Less than 50% of them were willing to give up stackable, easy transport, or packages that can be used to cook in. Another 1 in 10 of the eco-shoppers were not willing to give up any form of packaging. Remember, these are just the so-called eco-aware shoppers. Does this attitude reflect the injected belief that we need these things? Going through the average grocery store, we are pounded with catchphrases and gimmicks that promise us a dandy new lifestyle, devoid of such unnecessary things as effort or forethought. The swarming effect of it all produces a normality that most people come to believe in and rely on. The Pringles can, like lingerie for a potato chip. This bad boy holds around 80 chips and accounts for around 90% of the production cost. Or get the 3-pack and get an extra piece of cardboard with the big number on it to remind you how many this is. This option uses the shipping box as a display case, but it still gets ditched when it hits empty. Then there's the mini tube, less packaging but with far less contents. And some kind of pudding cup for chip lovers. You get a cardboard case with 8 little plastic cups, and each cup has 11 chips. That's a lot going on for only 88 slices of toasted potato. Whoever got the idea to charge $3 for a small handful of cheese, crackers, and processed meat slices must be laughing at the world right now. In 1989, Lunchables received the Package of the Year award. The very next year, Oscar Mayer started receiving complaints of overpackaging for the handy little meal in a box. Here, 20 years later, little has changed. The only answer would seem to be to stop entering grocery establishments altogether. They seem overly eager to sell a whimsical customer more than they need. Or maybe the problem is just that we're not buying enough. Our furry friends have been doing it for years. Not that they have a huge say in the matter. Buying in large quantities with minimal packaging reduces the overall use of packaging. At first, when the suggestion of buying in bulk came in, I thought of loose product in bins, but also wholesale stores, the ones that sell a year's supply of chili in one monster can. Taking a trip to Costco showed a wide mix of validity for this option. Many items were in huge cartons containing individually wrapped bits inside. If you buy 100 candy bars, you don't buy them without the wrappers. You just buy 100 of them at once. Other more conservatively packaged items were sold in a ridiculous volume that a person would never be able to use by themselves before a good portion goes bad. A 5-pound bag of shredded cheese, the 7.5-pound can of baked beans. The 5-pound bottle of honey might not go bad, but seriously, how long do you want the same bottle of honey laying around? I came to the conclusion that unless you have a large household, this might not have been the faultless option I was thinking of. So on to the bins. Here the amount of packaging is decided by you. A variety of bag sizes are offered to match the needs of the shopper, from fairly tiny to huge. You are able to buy that perfect amount of food. With less specialized packaging, you have one less middleman to inflate the price, and more profits go to the people actually producing the product, and less away from you. While I was getting footage of the awesome spectacle that is bulk, one of the store employees joked that, while practical, bulk would need a lot of help to become entertaining. This got me thinking. Anyway, at some point you'll need to carry all this home. We've all gotten one at some point. Those tiny little single small item bags. You go in to buy a bottle of aspirin, and the cashier whips out a bag barely big enough to fit your hand inside. Then there's the giant bags, the kind that you might use for a rain poncho. Paper bags consume huge amounts of resources to create, while plastic bags are harder to get rid of. A plastic bag takes around 600 BTUs of energy to create, while a paper one takes about 2,500. Plastic bags are already in decline in other parts of the world. Ireland taxes plastic bags. Bangladesh banned them after stray bags blocking drain pipes added to monsoon flooding. And the Indian province of Himachal Pradesh fines people $2,000 for plastic bag possession. Right now, California is considering a statewide tax on plastic bags, 15 to 25 cents a pop. A movement like this seems to be a win-win situation for local government. Either costs are saved in having to deal with plastic bag refuse and related problems, or extra money is brought in. I think the problem being addressed here is force of habit. Many people might be open to the possibility of bringing a reusable bag, if only they had a reason to remember to do so. Putting a financial shock collar on the consumer might be the most quick and effective way to steer the public from compulsive use of the 20-minute bag. If it's something that needs to happen, then the goal is finding which works better to entice people, a carrot or a stick.